Well, this was not like the exhibition game Team USA played against South Sudan. This did not come down to the wire. Team USA jumped out to a big first half lead and never looked back. Bam Adebayo led the way for Team USA, 18.7 rebounds and a couple of blocks in the win. They are atop the Group C standings now, and they punched their ticket to the quarterfinals no matter what happens in the final group stage game against Puerto Rico, which takes place on Saturday morning at about 11:15 Eastern Time. Team USA winning 103-86. Let's bring in Ashley Nicole Moss, who watched this game start to finish. Ashley, Team USA doing a pretty good job of putting to bed the notion that South Sudan can actually compete with Team USA in the Olympics. Why were they so much better in this matchup as opposed to the exhibition?
I think it's a little bit of a few things, right? I think for starters, they respected their competition a little more. I think sometimes, Team USA can have a reputation of going in and thinking the gold medal is just guaranteed. And I think South Sudan showed them in that exhibition game, if you take your foot off the gas, we're going to go ahead and make you pay for it. This is a team, South Sudan, speaking about them right now, this is a team that has a lot of athleticism. They play quick. They have multiple three-point shooters on the floor at any given time. So you can't sleep on them. If you do and you underestimate them, they're going to go ahead and make you pay for it. You saw from the beginning of this game, LeBron, KD, all parties involved were not going to go ahead and play with their food, the saying we like to use a lot in the NBA. They came out and established their dominance early. On top of that, you also saw better ball movement, I think, than you saw in that exhibition game. You saw everybody getting a touch, multiple players in double digits. So I think that ultimately the game plan going in there was just to establish your dominance early, both offensively and defensively, and not giving South Sudan the opportunity to do things that they do very well, and that is control the pace and play to their athleticism. Team USA kind of took all that away from them.
You talk about spreading it around and a lot of players impacting the game. Jason Tatum was in the game. He got in 4 points, 5 rebounds, a couple assists. What did you see from him in his first action in the Olympics?
A little rust to start off the game, which is kind of why, if you are a Jason Tatum fan or you've just been following Team USA, you kind of wanted him to get some minutes in that first game against Serbia, just because when you play FIBA rules, it's a different level of intensity. You're allowed to get away with certain things that you can't do in the NBA. The rules are different. We saw that in this game, very physical at some points. Also in the Serbian game, you saw that very physical at some point. So Jason Tatum had to knock the rust off a little bit, and he looked a little shaky there, but I think once he found his groove, you realize what just a huge asset he is when you play him in the right spots. And obviously, in order to play him, Joel Embiid had to go ahead and get his minutes completely cut. You can't play everybody. If you had to go ahead, though, and pick a player that has been better suited or will be better suited for this offense in the long term, you always are going to go ahead with Jason Tatum over Joel Embiid. He's been struggling to find where he fits with the construction of this team, and it just wasn't working, and that became evident in that game against Serbia.
Bam Adebayo leading the way, 18 points, 7 rebounds. He looked like prime Dwight Howard out there on the court at times. Why has he been so successful at times on this team that's just full of so many other players that you would think about before him?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't get that kind of productivity from him in that first game. He only had 4 points. I think in this specific game, I just think the FIBA rules kind of work to the type of player that he is. Now, it is very streaky, though, when it comes to his shooting and when he gets hot and when he doesn't. As you can see in that second half, it was a completely different story, a much quieter half from him than you saw in the quarter that he came in to replace Anthony Davis when he tweaked his ankle a little bit. But I will say, though, if you got this version of him in Miami, you wouldn't have to rely on Jimmy Butler so much. So I know that Pat Riley and company are going to expect, this version of him going into this upcoming season and maybe take some of that pressure off of Jimmy.
We know for Team USA, it's about winning every game and winning every game big on the way to a gold medal. They've already punched their ticket to the quarterfinals, but you still have to play Puerto Rico there on Saturday morning. What do you want to see from them in that last game before it gets real in the knockout stage?
I like to see Steph Curry kind of find where he fits a little bit. I think that he struggled a lot against this South Sudan team. They figured out a way to attack him defensively. I don't know if we'll have the same situation, though, against Puerto Rico. I think that he was able to flourish more against Serbia because Serbia is a bigger team. They play a lot slower. So when he's going against a team that can play just as fast as we know Steph Curry likes to play, he runs the most miles in the NBA when it comes to game time. So I think figuring out where he can go ahead and get his sweet spots, because Steph Curry on the floor, we're talking about the greatest shooter of the basketball we've ever seen. So you want to go ahead and be able to utilize that. I will be interested to see what Steve Kerr does with this Joel Embiid situation. Like I said before, I don't know if Joel Embiid's game just in general really fits with FIBA outside of the physicality, but specifically on Team USA, which is why a lot of people were wondering why he didn't go ahead and play for the French national team, where he would have more of a profound role, I believe. In this situation, you have LeBron. He's not really fixing well with the LeBron Anthony Davis matchup. He looks lost out at times. When you talk about the reserves, you have Kevin Durant leading that with Anthony Edwards. It's just hard to figure out where Joel Embiid fits. But look, if Tyrese Halliburton was able to get some minutes, and they were good minutes, he came out there with a vengeance, then maybe Steve Kerr can do the same with Joel Embiid when they go ahead and play Puerto Rico this weekend.
And Halliburton hit a couple of threes in the game, 6 points in all off the bench. Ashley Nicole Moss with us here breaking down the United States' second win in group play, moving forward to the final group game after wins over Serbia and South Sudan. Very similar scores. Very good offensively, though the three-point numbers were down in this one. They'll have Puerto Rico coming up. Win or lose, they'll move on to the quarterfinals. That game against Puerto Rico, by the way, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time.